Like and subscribe right now, or this will be in your bed tonight.
Hello everyone, welcome back to ProRevenge. You're watching iRead'em, the only channel you need for your ProRevenge needs. Before we start, please click like, subscribe and the bell icon for more videos. Subscribing is free and you can always unsubscribe. Thanks.
Fiancé left me due to my cancer diagnosis. I left her destitute. This has been 4 years ago, so the sting is gone and my revenge has been had. Sorry, if this isn't the right forum. We dated for 4 years and had what I thought was a great relationship. We were both well-established professionals who both owned homes in the same neighborhood and both with daughters in the home. Her daughter was 11, and mine was 16 when we met. We had actually planned to get married, build a house, and raise the two together. We planned the house build because she had recently been diagnosed with a neurological disease that would eventually put her in a wheelchair, and need something ADA-friendly. During the planning stages, I began doing landscape and construction projects on her home to increase the resale value. All in, I invested roughly $30,000 USD into the home, running everything through my side construction business for tax, permitting, and resale purposes. We had a contract that payment would be made upon the sale of the home. I produced invoices for each and every project, but never pushed for payment because of the prior agreement. Fast forward 6 months, we're looking at property to develop and finalizing drawings on the home when I began feeling ill. I couldn't eat, constantly vomiting and passing blood. I began noticing that my abdomen looked swollen, which was odd because we were both very clean eaters and were in the gym every day. So I went to the doctor and began having tests done. During this time, she began having small cognitive issues, and the stress of her current position was exacerbating her condition, so she took a $20,000 per annum cut in pay along with a lesser position inside the company. After a month or so of different tests, and a biopsy, it came back that I had a golf ball-sized tumor in my stomach, and would need to begin chemotherapy. So I began chemo and radiation treatments, which made me, expectedly so, extremely ill. She was spending time helping around my place on the weekends and staying over more, to the point that they were both at my home, more than theirs. At this point, I suggested that we go ahead and put one of our houses on the market, and move in together until the new house was built. I have great supplemental insurance as well as a long-term illness plan, so using that coupled with the sale of one of our houses would push us through comfortably, and help ease the financial stress on her. Shortly after this discussion, she became extremely distant. Her daughter wasn't coming down and hanging out with mine anymore. She had excuses for not getting together. She quit driving me to treatments and stopped staying over. She then dropped a bomb. A sentence that will forever be burned into my psyche. I love you, but I can't see myself taking care of someone this sick in the long term, and I don't think we should see each other any longer. In a text. It broke me. I won't lie. This was the first woman I had ever opened up to and planned a life with since my wife died when my children were 1 and 3. However, I tried to be mature about it. I forced myself to understand her position and to accept what I could not change. I calmly, the next day, gathered all of her things, packed them neatly, loaded them in my truck, and took them to her house to leave on the back porch while she was at work, in order to avoid any awkward exchanges. Walking around the back and under the porch cover, I sat down a box, and saw her in her back living room, on the couch having sex with a man that she had introduced to me as a lifelong friend. I had dinner and drinks with this man and his girlfriend. We had gone on vacation with them, as well. I never spoke of the incident with her, and simply sent her a text later, explaining that I would leave her things on my side porch to pick up at her convenience. I discovered 8 or 9 months later from his now ex-girlfriend, that they had broken up due to him confessing that he had been sleeping with my SO, dating back to about the time we were finishing drawings on the new home. Now I'm pissed. Revenge time. At this point, I had finished chemo and radiation for the time being and was feeling healthier. I was going through some much neglected paperwork when I ran across the file that contained $32,680 in unpaid, long overdue invoices, which were promptly sent to my attorney to begin lien proceedings on the home. It turns out that I couldn't have done this a moment too soon because she was set to put her house on the market. Coupled with interest over the course of, what was then, 19 months overdue, the invoices were hefty. That, along with the agreement of settling them when the house was sold and attorney fees, left her with roughly $10,000 after the sale of the home and settling her current mortgage. She promptly had to back out of the purchase of another home and moved in with her oldest daughter, Sil, and 2 grandchildren. She also had to leave her job and begin receiving disability. I ran into her a little over a year ago, and she looked as if she had aged 20 years, and was in the wheelchair we had talked about. We chatted cordially but briefly and I excused myself and went on with my day. A few days later, her younger daughter called me and spoke of my running into her mom, and could we hang out sometime? I gave a vague answer, thanked her for calling and again, went on with my day. The ex then called me a week or so later, and began apologizing for leaving me as she did. Again, cordial but short, I thanked her for calling and hung up. She began texting and this went on for several weeks until one she asked if I could ever see us rekindling what we had, to which I replied, I can't see myself taking care of someone so sick in the long term. Remember the box on your back porch? Did you think that, lifelong friend, brought that over to you from my house? Good luck to you. Goodbye. TLDR, girlfriend broke up with me due to me having cancer, so I ruined the sale of her home, the purchase of another, and left her to have to move in with her daughter. Then threw her breakup line back at her. I sometimes feel guilt over this, but not much, and not often. Pass me for manager promotion and hire your useless credit-stealing friend, I'll destroy your career. Long story TLDR at bottom. So this is not my story, got permission to post from the ProRevenger himself, but due to nature of events I don't mind my account being made into a sacrificial lamb if it got back to people involved as my account is essentially expendable. So the story, Dave, not real name, has been working for an IT programming company for just over 9 years, getting a good rep as a hard worker and all his colleagues knew him and can trust him to be a big help in times of trouble, like during big difficult projects for major clients. Dave's manager, John, was planning to retire and thought Dave would be a good replacement, so put his name forward as a recommendation and started showing him the ropes of his potential new job just to give him a glimpse of what he may be asked to undertake. A month later John puts in his notice of retirement and Dave's department manager, Michael, starts the interview process. Some character info. Whilst John was a good manager, very people-friendly, Michael was not. All Michael cared about was numbers and reports. He didn't even know who most of his staff was, nor did he have very much interaction with them. Back to story, Michael had started the interviews to fill John's position, Dave being one of the interviewees, and Dave thought the interview went really well. A few nervous months later Michael announces the new manager. It's an outside employment, not an internal promotion. Dave was disappointed but brushed it off as there is always someone better for the job. But in less than a week he realized just how wrong he was. The new manager, Darren, was below useless. He didn't know how to spell computer program, let alone write one. Turns out he was old friends with Michael and Michael had helped him fabricate his resume to get him the job. The news quickly spread to all the programmers, but there was nothing they could do as Michael was the person all complaints had to go through and he buried all of them. So noon above Michael knew of Darren's incompetence. Darren from day one had been pushing all his work onto others and then claiming credit for the work they had done, getting bonuses for completed work he didn't deserve. Darren spent his days watching movies, napping, playing games and occasionally pretending to be a manager when the need arose, but never wrote a single line of code. After 3 months of this, the extra workload was starting to affect Dave and others, but talking to Michael would do nothing, so Dave devised a plan to sort it out. Time for the ProRevenge. Dave had talked with all the other programmers and agreed next time Darren pushed a major project onto them to purposely sabotage the work, not in a big way, just enough to cause some bugs and glitches that will really light a fire under Michael and Darren. It took about another month, but a really big project came in. Immediately Darren started pushing his work onto others and stealing credit, so the plan was put into action. It was easy to accomplish, especially as Darren had no clue about coding and Michael didn't care as long as the project was done in good time. The project was done, saved, and sent to the client with almost all of the major work credit being stolen by Darren. It took less than 2 days for the client to call back complaining about how the new program has damaged his systems and was wreaking havoc on his company. The client wanted it fixing and a full refund. The bosses were pissed at Michael. Michael tried to shift the blame onto Darren. Darren tried to shift the blame onto the programmers, Dave, and the programmers just pointed out the program wasn't their project and denied any involvement in its development, which brought the attention back to Darren. The fallout. With the bosses coming down on Darren for what happened, he confessed he lied on his resume and he ratted out Michael about how he helped him fabricate it. Dave and programmers denied any wrongdoing, just stating Darren must have damaged the program somehow. Michael and Darren were promptly fired and replaced. Dave and the rest fixed the errors that Darren had created and the client was happy. In the end, Dave didn't get the promotion but left the company a year later for a better job. TLDR department manager hires useless credit-stealing friend as manager. Programmers sabotage big project. Both managers get full blame and are fired.
Thank you everyone for making it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Leave a comment if you want. Please make sure to like, subscribe and click the bell icon for more videos. I have lots of other videos on my channel too, which should be on the screen right now, so please give them a watch. Thanks and bye.